Spotlight today at in Bremerton at Gordon Fields. We were talking with team captain of the Kitsap Pumas Professional Soccer Club, midfielder Nik Besagno. Nick, we are talking with a Washington youth soccer audience. Why don't you give us a little bit of a history of growing up in youth soccer, the clubs you played for in Maple Valley, and how that went?
Yeah, I started off in Maple Valley. My family moved out there right before I was born, and my dad decided to get us involved in the community and started playing at a very young age. And I played for him up until about, I think, 11 or 12. And I think it was either U13 or U14. I moved on to FC United and played there for the rest of my soccer here in Seattle.
So you were drafted number 1 by Real Salt Lake. Was it 2005?
I believe it was 2005.
Yeah, and so how were you scouted, and how did they find you in Maple Valley?
Well, I'm sure most people are familiar with the ODP program, and I believe it was a little bit different back then than it is now. But there was the state team, and then there was the regional team, and I went on to the regional team and was in Costa Rica for a little interregional and international friendlies, and the assistant coach of the U17 national team was there, and so I got scouted there and went on to the residency program in Florida, and the head coach, John Ellinger, ended up becoming the coach of Salt Lake, and he liked me and wanted to bring me over and said, if you come out, I'll pick you up, and it was an easy decision from there.
And so how old were you when you were drafted, 16?
16.
And how old are you today?
21.
So it's been 5 years, and your MLS contract has expired after 4 years?
That's correct, yeah.
And you didn't stick, or you were eventually released by Salt Lake, and then you played for Sounders of the USL for a while.
My 4th year of the MLS, I was coming off injury, and it didn't look good for making it back into the lineup in Salt Lake, and so I got loaned out to Seattle. And so my final year with Salt Lake, I actually spent in Seattle on loan with the USL, Seattle Sounders, and then after that I went back and finished out the season with Salt Lake and was let go at the end of the season.
There were plenty of voices who wondered about after you didn't, I guess the phrase they might use, pan out as a number 1 draft pick. Probably was a lot of pressure put on you as a 16-year-old to show something fairly soon. But what kept you going so that now, even after you're not in MLS anymore, you're still playing the game, and now here you are a captain? What voices are inside your head telling you to keep going?
Yeah, I mean, it was hard. Looking back about 5 or 6 months ago, I had pretty much made the decision to hang up the boots and go back to school and call it quits. And that's when I got in touch with Pete and Ben Pecora, and just talking. And Pete, said, I'm thinking about heading over to the Pumas and love to have you. He worked with my brother, and he's a pretty close family friend. And so I obviously respect his opinion a lot. And that was before I'd ever played for him and ever really knew him, but I knew of him. And I was going to school at the time, and so I decided if I could get it to work with school and soccer, I had to do it, because I think I spent 3 or 4 months not playing soccer, and I hated it. I couldn't stand it, so I had to get back into it.
And it's sort of in your family blood. Your dad was coaching, and your brother Jake played for the Sounders, and your sister Julia recently won a state title for Crossfire, right?
Right. Yeah, my dad has actually coached. There's four kids in our family, and he's coached all of us up until at least about 10. And he very much involved in the Maple Valley Soccer Club and was president, I believe, at one point. And now he's all done. But yeah, my brother played for the Sounders. He actually came down to Salt Lake for a couple months at the end of, I think, 2 seasons and played a couple games with us. And yeah, Julia, they just won their state cup. I believe they lost in the finals at Nationals last year. And so hopefully they'll take it this year. And she's heading over to Seattle U beginning next semester. So.
What's your dad's first name?
John.
And which Visagno kid did we leave out?
Tessa. She played soccer all throughout club, and she played for my dad for a little while, and then she played for I think it was like a Sparta team out of Tacoma, and the Blaze was it, and then she didn't play in college, so she was the only one that didn't. But she's gone on to do good things. She's a teacher now and teaching over in Kent.
What's different in youth soccer now in Washington State specifically that you can notice than when you played just a few years ago?
I mean, coming back was actually kind of crazy because when I was there, the big thing was nationals and ODP, and I came back, and everyone, I forget what it's called, what the league is, but there's this league now that I think Crossfire and
PDL.
Is that what it is, where these club teams are flying down to California to play
Oh,
games?
okay, yeah.
The
PDL is the local league. I'm not sure what the regional is.
I don't
Academy
know.
play, yeah.
I think Academy, correct, yeah. And so when I'm hearing about these, kids, when I was 14 and 15, we were playing, just local teams, Emerald City, Crossfire, and now these kids get a chance to go and play surf and play nomads and play bays over, they're traveling all over the country, which I think is great, because I see a huge difference in the level of play here in Washington from back then to now, and it just seems like we're getting better and better. It's good.
So here you are over in Bremerton at Kitsap, and you've been named team captain. How did that happen, and what do you think that adds, or what responsibilities would you say to the kids out there that a captain has on a team?
Well, it came about just, Pete decided that he wanted me to, he likes that I've had experience in the MLS, and, I've kind of seen, I've seen both sides of a successful team and an unsuccessful team, and I think he wanted me to kind of bring that to the team and lead by example. And as far as the captain goes, I think that's what you need to do is, every single day, you got to lead by example. You got to be the guy who's never slacking off, who's never missing a beat, no matter what it is, and he's always doing everything right. And that's the advice I give.
Well, you've had an amazing soccer journey for a guy that's only 21, and it's cool to have you here in Kitsap and still playing on Washington State's other professional soccer team across the sound. Thanks for talking with us, Nick.